So this is certainly thinking outside of the box. In this video, what I wanted to do was go over to an article published on CanucksArmy by Tyson Cole 2 days ago. It's a really interesting idea, and it's one that I think, we kind of need to talk about, but I do think it's a little early to be discussing this at the moment. Although, you know what, early, late, it's all subjective, right? It all depends on how you view things. And if anything, you could say that this sort of a conversation is proactive to be having at this moment. So, I'll leave a link in the description to this article by Tyson Cole. 5 goalies the Vancouver Canucks could trade for with their newly acquired 4th round pick. Now, there are 5 guys, burgers and fries, listed in this article, but I really wanted to talk about just one. And you already know from the title, you already know from the thumbnail whom it is we are discussing. You could read about the other 4 goaltending options if you wanted to go out there and look at this article yourself. It's all available in the description. But essentially, this article opens up by talking about the Canucks and their goaltending. The Thatcher Demko situation, it's pretty off-putting, and with the Canucks in a position to potentially signing a goaltender like a Kevin Lankinen, for example, or maybe somebody else like a Ranta or whomever. There also is the idea that the Vancouver Canucks, instead of signing for a guy, could simply make a trade for a guy. This was brought up after the Vasily Podkolzin trade with the Edmonton Oilers, and this is where we had ourselves some word talking about how the Vancouver Canucks might use their extra 4th round pick that they got in the Podkolzin trade to make something happen. The CanucksArmy article uses the quote from the Rick Dhaliwal and Thomas Strantz collaborative piece on The Athletic, where they go out there and say this: "No longtime observer of the hockey club will be shocked to hear that the Vancouver Canucks 4th round pick, originally belonging to Ottawa, that they got in the Podkolzin trade, is already burning a hole in the pocket of the Canucks hockey operations leadership. It's ammunition, an asset that's already been pretty explicitly marked as something that the club will look to use to improve during this season." And so, when you put 2 and 2 together, you start to think, okay, if the Canucks are really desperate to use this 4th round pick in a trade to get a guy, maybe their guy is going to be a goaltender. And so, it opens the door to each of the conversations in this article about different names and everything, but I wanted to focus on the second name that is listed here. So, let's go out there and read what the article has to say about Detroit Red Wings goaltender Alex Lyon. The Red Wings goalie room is very crowded. The Wings brought in Cam Talbot on a handsome 2-year, $5 million contract to play alongside projected starter Ville Husso. What the hell? Projected starter? Not just Talbot, but Detroit also signed Jeff Campbell, that should say Jack Campbell, bro, not Jeff Campbell, oh boy, to a 1-year, $775,000 contract. With these additions, Lyon is slated to play 3rd string for next season, and that's a little disrespectful after how well he performed with the Red Wings when they needed him most. The Minnesota native started 43 games with Detroit last season, finishing with a 21-18-5 record, a .305 goals against, and a .904 save percentage. Lyon fits the bill for what the Canucks are looking for, price and age-wise. The 31-year-old has 1 year remaining on his contract, paying him $975,000 a year. A trade like this would make sense for Detroit, as they've already got a 1A, 1B situation with Husso and Talbot, and are paying them as such, with Campbell and the AHL, who could suffice as a backup option if they get hit with the injury bug. And you know what? Look, I'm gonna, I don't want to go out there and say that the writer doesn't know what he's talking about. Of course, I've got a lot of respect for Tyson Cole and the folks over on CanucksArmy, I always do, but Alex Lyon was not supposed to be the 3rd string guy. I'm sorry, Ville Husso was not supposed to be the starter for the Detroit Red Wings, and I think a lot of Wings fans might have just hawked hood in disgust after seeing some of the comments made here. It was gonna be Alex Lyon's crease, and of course we recognize Cam Talbot is gonna come in here and give a challenge for that spot. If anything, I think it would have been more of a 1A, 1B situation, because Lyon was so good and because he was so reliable. Okay, maybe not reliable is the best way to put it. There were some games where Lyon just kind of didn't show up, but still, he was as consistent as a goaltender for the 23-24 Detroit Red Wings could have been. No real complaints for Alex Lyon, in my opinion at least. which is why when I think about the idea of trading a 4th round pick for the guy, it becomes very difficult to envision that sort of a trade going through. Now, for Steve Yzerman and his point of view, yeah, would he be interested in maybe trading away a Lyon? I have no idea. In fact, I'd probably guess no, especially for a 4th round pick. That seems like too much of an underpay for the service that the Lion King can provide. How do you repay a guy after having him be your starter for half the season, have him play all these games and be clutch and have his moments? Sure, he wasn't really healthy the entire time, but still, he was there. How do you repay a guy like that? You send him over to be a potential 3rd string in a Vancouver system for a 4th round pick. And I say potential 3rd string because if Artur Silovs is as good as he could be and Demko inevitably comes back, then what are the Vancouver Canucks gonna do? Rotate Lyon around as a 3rd guy? If Artur Silovs is good enough to play in the NHL, I think it would be priority for Vancouver to play him in the NHL, right? I don't know. It's just kind of a thought process that I'm thinking about, because if Lyon is as good as he could be, then you do have a little bit of a goaltending controversy starting up once Thatcher Demko comes back. Without Demko in the fold, if he's injured, then okay, great, just roll Silovs and Lyon. Sure is a lot better than Silovs and Lankinen, in my opinion at least, but if Demko comes back soon, then all of a sudden you have to make some decisions, because Alex Lyon right now, he's only making $900,000, he's cheap, yes, but he's gonna want a bigger opportunity to potentially get the bag in the 2025 offseason. This guy's 31 years old, he's gonna go down swinging, and so this is the kind of guy that playing the role that he had in Detroit this previous year, if he continues doing that, and he has success doing that, then he's gonna get paid. Like, good. He'll get $2.5, $3 million bucks even if he's good enough, and so that should be the goal for Lyon's point of view. And I think getting traded to Vancouver would significantly dampen the opportunity for him to be able to do that. Not unless Artur Silovs shows up and he's not great. Lyon absolutely takes over what could have been a backup role for Silovs, but then you have yourselves the entire situation that happened with Florida all over again. Bobrovsky, Lyon, who's there, who's not, and he's not going to have the domineering strength over that crease like he had in Detroit, where now, sure, I get it, Cam Talbot is probably going to be the starter, but Lyon still commands a lot of respect. Heading over to Vancouver, it's like, okay, well, Artur Silovs was just the starter in the playoffs and he did well, and Thatcher Demko was a Vezina candidate last year. There's no chance that Alex Lyon's going to be able to crack that. As good as he is, right? So, I don't know, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're a Vancouver Canucks fan, what are your thoughts on the idea of trading away a 4th round pick for Alex Lyon? For me personally, if I'm not thinking about Alex Lyon, the guy, I'm not thinking about his situation, I'm not thinking about the contract that he could sign next year, I'm just thinking about, does this make the Vancouver Canucks better? And is he an upgrade over any of the other options they have? I'm like, yeah, 4th round pick for Lyon, great. It's essentially Vasily Podkolzin for Lyon, and that's an idea that I think floats very well in terms of making the Canucks a better team. But the Red Wings fan in me says, really? You're gonna jeopardize the guy's earning potential for next year by trading him over to Vancouver for a 4th? That's not a guaranteed goaltending situation. At least in Detroit, there's argument to be made that he could be in a 1A, 1B situation. Ville Husso is so expensive, and he's not great, so of course you want to see him bounce back, but for now, Lyon is the guy who's second on the pecking order behind Cam Talbot. And then Jack Campbell, or Jeff Campbell as the article says, is not going to be an NHL caliber guy. I think we all kind of recognize that at this point. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the idea of Lyon getting traded to the Canucks. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.